Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sydney and this is the Pleasant Street Farmhouse. Today I am super excited. It's one of my favorite times of year. We're going to be making some baked goods. I'm going to do sugar cookies. Guys, this is the best sugar cookie recipe. I promise you, you're going to want to give this recipe a shot. These are super easy to make. They always turn out. Don't mind my dogs playing in the background. It is what it is. So we're going to do sugar cookies. I'm also going to do my grandma's and my mama's English toffee. It's always a crowd pleaser. So good, so fast, and so easy to make. Candied pecans. You ever go through the mall and you're like, what in the world is that amazing smell? Candied nuts. These are those candied pecans that you can get at the mall or during the holiday season. I know you know what I'm talking about. You guys, again, another super fast, super easy recipe that you're going to want to try. I don't think these, if they make it out of the house, if Sean and I don't even eat the whole batch, they are gone like that. Like, I always have to make more of these because they are so, so good. So you're also going to want to try that recipe out. Then I'm also going to make just our standard chocolate chip cookies. You're just going to want to try all of the recipes. I promise when you see them, see how easy they are and see how good they look at the end, you're going to want to try all of them. And I will leave the ingredients and instructions down below in the description so you can screenshot it or whatever it may be and make them later. But they will always be listed down below in the description box, so don't forget to check that out. So we're going to do the chocolate chip cookies. And then the last recipe, I actually don't even know the name of this recipe, but Sean really loves it. And I would equate it to kind of like an allspice, well, not even allspice, almost like a soft gingerbread cookie that doesn't get hard, but a little bit more mild than like a strong gingerbread cookie. So they're like a spice, you know, gingery cookie. They're really good. They're super easy. And they are also a crowd pleaser. So that's what we're gonna do. I've got everything mapped out. I don't know if you can see all my arrows and lists and things right here. So I can make sure that I'm not gonna burn anything, forget anything, and when I need to be rotating things throughout the oven, through the fridge, whatever it may be. And I always recommend kind of mapping that out before you start so you have kind of a way to look at everything without getting overwhelmed, and you know what's next and you know what you need to do in the process so everything comes out perfect. And I've got my hot cocoa, hopefully that'll help my voice, and my other awesome, oh look, you can see this steam, Christmas cup. This girl loves Christmas. I've got my Christmas shirt on. I'm going to put some Christmas music on Pandora, and I'm just going to start rocking through all of this. Soph is in the living room watching one of her shows, and when we get to the part where she can help, she's gonna hop in too. Let's just roll on into the video, guys. I hope you enjoy this. Okay, the first thing we're making are sugar cookies. You're gonna have 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of butter, 2 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of almond extract, 2 teaspoons of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt, and 3 1/4 cup of flour. You're going to go ahead and mix all of the wet ingredients first, and you want to cream the butter and sugar first before adding the eggs and vanilla and almond extract. So I have room temperature butter and then sugar, and you're going to whip that on high to make it creamy. And then you'll add the eggs and the extracts, mix those together, then the flour and all the other dry ingredients. Then you're going to want to put that in the refrigerator for at least an hour. It can go up to overnight, but at least an hour, and then you're ready to have sugar cookies. When you go to bake these, you're going to want to bake them at 350 for around 8 minutes. I actually was taking mine out at the 5 to 6 minute mark. The trick is you do not want any color on these cookies. You don't want any browning around the edges. They will be burnt by that time. So you want to make sure you're taking them out when the middle has set and there's no color on the edges.
That made you see that I love you. All I've got to give for Christmas is this.
next item that we're gonna make is my favorite English toffee. Super, super easy. Here are the ingredients. You're going to need a pan that has aluminum foil and then sprayed with just baking spray so it doesn't stick. You need 1 stick of butter. You need 1 cup of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 cup of water. You also want a candy thermometer because you have to watch this constantly, and you want to make sure that it does not go above 285. 285 is where you want to take it off the heat and put it onto the pan. You can also chop up some pecans for your topping if you want. I usually made 1 batch without pecans and 1 with for those that have nut allergies. And then you're also going to need 2 packs of Hershey's chocolate bars for the topping. You'll melt the topping down, and then once the toffee has set, you pour the chocolate on top, let that set, and then you'll flip it over and do the same to the other side and let it set, and then you'll crack it up and you will have some amazing English toffee. You'll notice in this video that I do not use the candy thermometer, and guys, that's because I've been doing this ever since I was a little girl. I have memorized the color that I need to take it off of the heat. So if you haven't made this recipe before, I highly recommend having a candy thermometer. And I actually, when I would use a candy thermometer, would take it off a couple of degrees before it reached 285 because it's still gonna cook a little bit. So usually around 280, 282, I would take it off the heat and then it would be perfect. I'm just chopping up the chocolate here that I'm gonna put in the microwave and nuke it. Do 30-second increments so you don't burn your chocolate, and then it'll be ready to go on top of the toffee once the toffee is done. The other thing is when you do this recipe, you have to be at the stove the entire time. It doesn't take long, but you have to be constantly stirring this toffee, otherwise it will burn and it will not taste good. It starts off like a very cream white color, and then once it gets to a high enough temperature, it's gonna start changing colors, and it's gonna change colors fast. That's why you need to be constantly stirring it and constantly, taking a look at it and being at the stove at all times. So this happens really quickly, as you can see, and I'm just continuing to stir it. And once I think it's to the point where I need to take it off, I'll take it off and pour it onto my sheet pan that's been coated with aluminum foil and cooking spray. And then I'm gonna let that set for a minute and then pour the chocolate on top and let that chill out as well.
Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring, it will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year...
Now we're gonna work on our candied pecans. These are so good. What you're going to need is 1 egg white, 2 teaspoons of water, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1 pound bag of pecan halves, 1 cup of sugar, a half to 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. This is personal preference. I use pretty close to a tablespoon in mine, but really it's personal preference on how much cinnamon flavor you want. And then half a teaspoon of salt. So what I'm doing now is I'm just adding the cinnamon, the sugar, and the salt to a Ziploc bag. I'm gonna mix that up, and then that's going to be where I'm gonna put the pecans and shake them up really well. So I'm gonna set that aside, and then I'm going to work on the wet ingredients. So in my bowl, I'm gonna mix 1 egg white, 2 teaspoons of water, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and I'm gonna whisk and whisk and whisk and whisk and whisk until I cannot whisk anymore. And you will see that it will turn into this frothy kind of tan color, light tan colored froth. And that's exactly what you want. You don't want any kind of liquid sitting at the bottom. You want it to be a froth foam mixture. And once that's all done, then I will add my pecans to that, and I'm gonna mix it so they all get coated. And then I will transfer the pecans to the Ziploc bag with the cinnamon sugar mixture in there. I also have learned from my mistakes that it's always a better idea to have 2 Ziploc bags, 1 for the sugar and pecans, and then I dump it upside down and put it in the opposite direction in another Ziploc bag. That way, just in case one of the bags opens, you have a safety net there. So So I add the pecans to the cinnamon sugar, put the other Ziploc bag on top of it, give it a really good mix, make sure everything's coated, and then we're ready to lay it out on a pan. You want to get it a thin layer as possible. You don't want them stuck together. And then you want to put this in the oven at 250, very low temperature, for 1 hour. The trick is you want to go in and swirl them up, mix them up every 20 minutes. So again, you're going to want to be in the kitchen making your other goodies while this is going, and every 20 minutes you're going to want to mix the pecans so they don't get stuck and burnt to the pan. Now we're moving on to my favorite chocolate chip cookies. So the ingredients for this are 2 1/4 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 cup of unsalted softened butter, a 1/4 cup of sugar, with 3/4 cup of brown sugar. I have it in one bowl there, a teaspoon of vanilla, 1 large box of the instant vanilla pudding, not the cold and serve. You want to make sure that you get the instant vanilla pudding in the large box, 2 eggs, and then chocolate chips. And I use half dark chocolate and half semi-sweet. I think it adds a really good combination of chocolate to my chips. So you're going to, obviously you'll do your wet ingredients in one bowl, and then your dry ingredients in another, and then you'll slowly combine them. And Soph is helping me out here. This is a great opportunity to get the kids in the kitchen, and just know they're gonna make messes. Not all of the ingredients are gonna get in the bowls. It's fine. Don't worry about it. The main thing is that you're making experiences for your children to be in the kitchen and cooking with you. And she loves it. She enjoys it so much. She wanted to do all of it. So as you can see, she's just jumping on in and doing whatever she wants to do, and that's fine. And if they don't turn out perfect, that's okay. Your kiddos helped you make those, and that was the important part. So we're gonna mix all of these things together, and then we'll have our chocolate chip cookies done. When these are ready to bake, you're gonna bake these at 375 degrees for approximately 8 to 10 minutes. The instant pudding actually allows the cookie to kind of rise and give you a puffier cookie. So you wanna make sure you watch that because you don't want those to burn.
Jingle bells ringing in my ear. Jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing, just you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard while Santa's busy saying ho, ho, ho. We're feeling jolly, eating Christmas cake, and then we go skating on the frozen lake, saying hi to every friendly face, and later we warm up by the fireplace. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Merry Christmas Day. A Merry Christmas Day. Oh, yeah. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as we walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Yeah, a Merry Christmas Day. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry Christmas. Dancing around the Christmas tree, wishing all a Merry.
My English toffee is chilled, so I'm going and making the rest of the chocolate. I'm going to open that up and melt it, again 30-second increments so you don't burn your chocolate. And then I'm going to flip the toffee over and coat the other side with the chocolate. Once you've done that, again, you want it to chill so it's completely solid, and then you can break it up and your English toffee will be ready to serve.
Right outside, and the night is cold. Everyone's lighting candles in their homes. Yes, it's Christmas. It's a magic time. You can feel it in the air, that every child got their hearts filled up with joy. Yes, it's Christmas all around. All snow is falling down, all the colored lights lighting up this town. And as I walk outside, hear the Christmas choir sing Merry Christmas to you. This time of year is a time to cheer. Let our loved ones, our family and friends have a Christmas with so much love, and with joy and laughter. Let us make memories that stay forever. It's Christmas today.
And our chocolate chip cookies are done, and they are delicious. It's so hard not to just want to bite into them now with all that gooey, melty chocolate. But trust me, you're going to want to let these chill for a few minutes before you start eating them. I will also say I did this on accident, but I actually prefer it. The different types of chocolate chips I got, the morsels were actually different sizes. So the dark chocolate were bigger morsels, and then apparently I got the mini semi-sweet chocolate morsels, and I actually love it. I love the way they turned out. So sometimes accidents turn out to be a better thing than they were before. So that's what I used here. You don't have to. I usually just use the same size morsel, but again, they turned out. So now we're gonna go into our kind of spice cookies. They're molasses spice cookies. And the ingredients you're gonna need is 1.5 cups of sugar, 1 cup of shortening, and you wanna use like the Crisco shortening, 1/2 cup of molasses, 1 egg, 3.5 cups of flour, 2.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of mace, and 1/4 cup of milk. For the mace, I hadn't really heard of that until I saw this recipe, and it's actually pretty hard to find. So what I have determined is a good substitute for that, thank you, the Google machine, is equal parts of nutmeg and allspice to make up the portion that you need. So if I have 1 teaspoon of mace, I would use 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. Or the other alternative that Google said was that you could just use equal parts nutmeg for the substitute as well. So there's that. If you can find it, that's what you want to use, is 1 teaspoon of mace. But I had a really hard time finding it, so I just did a substitute. So again, I'm going to mix all of my dry ingredients in one bowl, and then in the second bowl, I'm going to cream together the sugar and the egg and the shortening and molasses. And then I'll add the dry ingredients, and at the end is when you'll add the milk. For whatever reason, it says don't add the milk until the end, after it's all been mixed together. So that's what you're going to want to do. And then these cookies will be ready to go as well. A little tip for these cookies: once you see the cracking starting on the top of the cookies, that's when you know they're done. If they look really smooth in the oven, they are not done. They're still doughy in the middle. So you do kind of want to wait till you see a little cracking. It's hard because of the color. You're not going to see if they're burning or not. But I use that visual cue of if they're starting to crack in the middle and separate, then I know they're done and I'm ready to pull them out of the oven.
It feels like I'm a kid, like I'm forever young.
Now my sugar cookie dough has been sitting in the refrigerator, honestly, for about 2 to 3 hours. So it is ready to go. I just portion it out and then flour my surface. Obviously I cleaned it and disinfected it and then cleaned it again so there wasn't any disinfectant on the counter. And then I floured it and started rolling it out. And I just had some cookie cutters I picked up at Walmart for 80 cents or whatnot, and I did 1 whole tray of each style of cookie cutter. And sometimes I would like for Sophia to be a part of this, but because it was so late, I just went ahead and did it, and then we decorated the cookies the following night. So that's always a plus too, is that I was able to just kind of power through this. And then we had our fun part the following night, and the cookies were completely cool, and it was pretty easy to do. So I'm just going to do these, and again, like I said earlier, you need to watch these in the oven. I was taking these out around the 5 to 6 minute mark because you do not want any coloring on the cookie. You don't want any browning around the edges. That is going to be a burnt cookie. So you want to make sure you take it out the minute that the middle is set and it looks like it's done and there's no coloring on the edges.
Winter wonderland, a winter wonderland. It's the time of year, my winter wonderland, my winter wonderland.
Picked up these cute little cookie tins at Walmart for a couple of bucks, and these are for Sophia's teachers. So I'm just breaking up that toffee, and there's no right or wrong way to break up the toffee. So you're just going to break it into pieces and then store it away. And you do want to make sure you store it, because otherwise the chocolate, if you let it sit out, will kind of get that, I don't know if it oxidizes or what, but it kind of gets that like ashy color to it. So do make sure you put this in an airproof sealed container once it's done.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. And I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sunset, it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline.
Well guys, that's it for me. I hope you have enjoyed this bake with me and that you got some good ideas on some goodies that you can make this holiday season. I am exhausted. I've been baking now for 4.5 hours straight. So I'm gonna go sit down for a minute, get my life together, and power through the rest of the stuff I have to do this evening. And it's already almost 9:15 here. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you give it a good thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified when I come out with new videos. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.
We're gonna dance.
We're gonna dance, dance, dance,
Come on.
dance. We're gonna dance, dance.